So if you observe in a previous video, we discussed on how to fetch the data asynchronously. Now, if you observe when we are opening localhost colon 4200 where our application is hosted, you can see that technology events in India is loaded first and finally the events are getting loaded. So it shows that the partial data is getting loaded and finally the entire data is getting loaded. So this is not the right approach, right? We have to load in such a way that if the data is getting loaded, everything should load at a time. So let's see how we can handle this. So we can handle this by making use of resolver service. Let's implement events list resolver service in this video. I'll switch to Visual Studio Code. So let's create events list resolver service. Inside events, create a new file with name events list resolver service.ts. Okay, and here we usually import, this is like a normal syntax where we are importing for every service we import injectable, okay, from import injectable from Angular core. So we'll decorate with @injectable, and here we are going to specify a class, that is export class event list resolver. This should implement resolve, implements resolve. Okay, now here inside this class, this injectable service which we are going to implement here should implement this resolve method. So we are going to define resolve inside this class, that is event list resolver. We have to implement resolve, so we are going to define resolve method inside this. So let's have a constructor over here where we can inject the service by creating a private variable, private event service from event service. Okay, so we have injected event service. So next what we have to do, we have to implement this resolve method inside here. So what is the use of implementing this resolve method over here? So inside this method, we'll make an asynchronous method call, such as like a Ajax call, and then when we return it, it will return the data. So I'll explain you more once I write this statement. Return this dot event service dot get events dot type of map, and inside here I'm going to pass events. Okay, so what we are going to do here, if you observe, let me import first. Okay, we'll import resolve from Angular router. Okay, and we are going to import the event service. I think it's already imported. See, event service is already imported. Then we have to import map from rxjs. rxjs/operators. Okay, here if you observe @injectable, I have to pass it like this with parentheses. Okay, that's it. It's done. So now let's understand what we have written over here. So this is events list resolver service where we are going to implement the resolve method. Okay, so what is the use of this method is, inside this method we will make an asynchronous method call such as like Ajax call, and then when it returns, it will return the data. Okay, we are calling get events here, which returns an observable, and then we are calling map on that observable. Okay, which gives access to the events that are passed in to that stream. So if you observe here, we are calling get events method, which returns an observable, and then we are calling pipe that is map on that observable, which gives access for the events that are passed into onto that stream. Okay, and then we are going to return those events, so that we are receiving events into this function and just returning back out. That's it. So if you observe here, events and events, here we are just receiving the events and we are returning back. But what we are doing inside this resolve method, we are going to make sure that whatever the latency, that is partial data, which is going to be appeared on our web page, is handled by making use of this resolve. Okay, now we have made use of this resolve method and we have defined events list resolver service. Next step is to include this inside our providers array inside app.module.ts. Let's register that next. So inside app.module.ts, let's register inside providers array. Let's register here event list resolver. Event list resolver. Okay. So we have registered the event list resolver service as well, so that we are notifying Angular that we are making use of this service. Okay. Now this is also done. Next point, what we have to do, we have to include this as part of route, right? Inside our routes.ts, we have to include this event list resolver service. Let's do that. So inside routes.ts, so for which component I want to include this, where we are facing this, if you observe our application, if you observe, this is our main page. Okay, and this, in this page, we are seeing that latency where technology events in India is getting displayed first and then followed by all the events. The partial data is getting loaded. So here we want to apply, right? So this is our main page. So what is the component associated with that? The component associated with that is events list component. This is the component. So here we are going to apply that resolve. Okay, comma resolve, and here we have to pass events, that is event list resolver service. Event list resolver. That's it. Now, if you observe here, what we have done here, if you observe, we are adding a resolve handler and we are passing in an object, and that object has property events. That property value is set to event list resolver. See, if you observe here, this resolve handler we are adding here. Okay, and we are passing in an object. That object has the property, this object has the property, events is the property, and that property value is set for event list resolver. Okay, so what this means is, before resolving this route call on event list resolver, and when that finishes and return us some data, we are going to add that data to route as property named as events on the route. So before resolving this route call, event list resolver, and when that finishes, it will return some data. And this data to route, as we are passing as a route to the property. So here you can see this is the property events. We are passing as a route for this. And then we are making use of this resolve, okay, inside routes.ts. So next what we have to do, we have to go to the component class and we have to consume this. Okay, let's go to the component class and consume it. Okay, let's open events list component.ts, and inside our component class we have to make some changes over here. If you observe, inside our constructor we are injecting event service already, so we also require activated route here because we are going to route for it, right? So here we are going to specify private route, activated route. Okay, sorry, activated route. Okay, here we are going to import activated route from @angular/route, and we are making use of this route inside our ng on init. So if you observe here, we were calling get events and subscribing to that previously, right? By making use of get events, we are invoking get events and we are subscribing to that. Since we are doing this already in our resolver, where we have implemented inside our resolver service, we need not use this now. We can remove this. Okay, we can remove this and we can get that from route where we have defined the resolver. Okay, so this dot events equals this dot route dot snapshot dot data, from where we are getting from the events. I'll explain you how these events came here. Okay, that's it. We'll save the changes. Now, if you observe here, we need not subscribe to the observer. Why? Because we have already made use of that inside our resolver. Previously, we were calling get events and subscribing to it. Now we are getting rid of that, and because we are making use of this event list resolver service, we are getting rid of that, and we can get that data now from the route by injecting that route. Okay, here we have injected that route inside our constructor along with the event service. Okay, so we have imported as well, okay, the activated route from Angular/route. So what happens here? Let's see. The events which are passed over here for ng on init inside this method, if you observe, the events which is passed over here comes from the events which is present inside route. If you observe inside our routes.ts, here we are going to define the property events, right? This is the same as events list component from where it comes. So it comes from route. Whatever we are passing the events here, which comes from this route here, okay, this property. So what happens on the overall, if you observe, what is the use of resolver service? If you see from the overall perspective, which we have implemented so far, resolver gets events from resolver service, okay, gets events from resolver service. Then the route takes it and puts it inside on the route, okay. This route will take it and put it on the route, and then we can access this inside our component. So first the resolver service gets events from the resolver service. Okay, this resolver, whatever we have implemented, event list resolver will get events from the resolver service. So if you observe, get events we are calling here inside our resolve, right? Then after that, what will happen? The route will take it. Whatever the events passed over here for this method, resolve method, will be taken by route, and this route will put it on inside this route. Okay, wherever the component event list component is associated, it will put it on that. Okay, and then we can access this by making use of component. So we can consume this inside our component, whatever the property which we have defined inside our route, that is events property. Okay, that's it. These are the changes which we are going to do as part of event list resolver service. Now let's run this project and let's see the output. Okay, let's run this by making use of npm space start. A project is getting compiled. Got compiled successfully and hosted on localhost :4000. Now if I open this link, if you observe, both technology events in India as well as the events are getting loaded at a time. Means partial loading we are avoiding by making use of resolve, right? Previously what was happening, technology events in India, this heading was displayed before, and then finally all the events were getting displayed. So now what we are going to do, the entire page until the data gets loaded completely, it will not display on our UI, on our web page. That's what we achieved by making use of resolver service. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and share this video, and kindly subscribe to my channel in order to watch more videos. Please click on the bell icon so that whenever I am uploading a new video, you'll get a notification. Thank you.